What's up, Tiger fans? We are just a few minutes out of the Mizzou Murray State game that ended earlier tonight. Missouri comes out with a 51-0 victory over Murray State. And unfortunately, the last quarter or so of the game I wasn't able to watch. I had to get some stuff done. But just now hopping on, take a look at some of the stats for the game and make sure that nobody left injured or anything. I know early on Norfleet was out. Was that prior to halftime that he was taken out? Didn't look like it was serious, and I haven't heard anything else reported yet on Norfleet. So, other than that, I think we get out of here unscathed, which is, probably the biggest thing for really any team out of that first game, especially for the Tigers. Coming out and looking good with the offense in your first stringers. I mean, there's only so much you can kind of read into the stats, especially in a game like this. What you want to kind of see is your starters come in, do well, limit the mistakes, but especially nobody get hurt in the first game. I thought they looked pretty good for this being the first game and considering who they were playing. I know Cook was a little hard on himself on some of those deep passes. That's going to come. I know they said on the show throughout most of the game that he had been working on these deep passes for a while now at practice. He was just a little off, but that's going to come. You talk about a quarterback that in just the last 2 years, really, just how much he has progressed and looking more confident back there in the pocket, looking a little more collected, not as frustrated or skittish back there. And credit to Brady Cook and his off-season workouts and all the extra work that he's been doing. Seems like they got pretty much everybody got a little taste tonight, which is kind of what you want to see. You want to get the starters out there. You want to get them kind of moving, but then it's important to get the depth chart, get everybody rotated in, get those first game jitters out of the way. And I think that, was it a perfect game? Absolutely not. But that's a good thing. So Drinkwitz is going to have plenty of stuff to go over with everybody, remind them, show them certain things that, they need to kind of focus in on over the next couple weeks, especially before we get into SEC play. There was one play I know early on. When was that? I think it was almost right. Were we in the third quarter or not? I don't remember. I think it was right before half. And we were trying to get downfield, and it was a pass to the right. I'm so tired right now. Where they went out of bounds about a yard before the first down marker, trying to preserve the time to stop the time. And I think the announcers also caught that on television. So, just small things like that. There's going to be plenty of video for Drinkwitz and the coaching staff. There's a gnat flying all around here for them to go over with the team. But everybody kind of got a little action tonight, which was great. And most importantly for me, I was interested to see just how Craig was going to do kicking. And looking at his stats here, looks like he had 3 field goals, 39, 22, and a 27. So that is going to be huge in some of these big games. It always comes down to a game to where you need the kicker to win you one, right? Remember last year, K-State, and they said that's the one that turned everything around for Mizzou. To think that if we would have missed out on that kick at home against K-State, what that would have done for the rest of the season for Mizzou and where we would be today. So it was really good to see Craig get out there and nail all 3 of his field goals. I was also interested, I'm not too concerned with Burden and the fumble. It's going to happen. That was on a trick play. Burden got into the end zone early. Running backs look good. The offensive line looked really, really good. Let's go up to, let's see here. Starters. Green. I didn't get to see him much analyze how he was doing over there. I don't know if any of you were kind of watching him or not. I think there was one to where there was did he take a penalty on one? I'm not sure. He's going to be a huge piece for us on that offensive line. So I was excited to kind of see him get out there and see how he did with the starters. Theo Weiss looked good. I was a little nervous when Norfleet went out, but for the most part, and then the defense, you're talking again, considering who you're playing, Murray State, but how impressive it is for Missouri to hold a shutout on Murray State, because after a while, things obviously dipped in the game as far as the intensity and how everybody was getting after it. It's so hard to keep that up in a game like this. And defense could have easily just kind of taken it a couple steps back. Kudos to them for all the way through the game, not taking any time off and holding out for that shutout. So that was impressive. That was really impressive. Some of the other things we were kind of seeing here. So let's just take a look at, let's see, some of the stats here. See if anything kind of stands out. Cook, 19 for 30, 218 yards, a touchdown. He was fine. I was more impressed with Cook and just the way he's handling himself out there on the field. Each year, and that's with just about any true leader on your team, especially the quarterbacks. Cook's entering into his final year here at Mizzou, and just the way he kind of handles himself. I think we're going to be ready for some of these games where, last year I had mentioned on the pregame earlier this week, the game against LSU last year, to where, giving that one away, and then the Georgia game, to where Cook kind of, those 2 late picks, to where we had our chance against Georgia, but like I said in the video, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and Georgia's a really good team, especially last year, and I'm impressed with each season and almost every game that goes forward. Just how Cook has the leadership qualities that he has. That's going to be really important, especially this season. And like I said, I know everybody's looking at the Oklahoma game and everybody's looking at the Alabama game down at Alabama. I am most concerned with that Texas A&M game. I just have the worst feeling about going down there, and I'm I can see to where that's the game that trips us up on a season to where we're in the driver's seat, which is a great thing to have for Mizzou. When does this happen? It doesn't happen for Mizzou football, to where all you need to do is pretty much handle your business. You've got a pretty good schedule. Everybody keeps saying, the strength of schedule, the SEC schedule that they got this year, is on the lighter side, relatively speaking, for an SEC schedule. Still some games that can trip you up no matter what, but that Texas A&M game is early enough to where I think you can catch Missouri kind of sleeping. And if you lose that one, I don't know if Missouri can get into the conversation of a playoff spot with one loss, because you're still kind of seeing a little bit of a national bias against Mizzou. And I'm not boo-hooing anything, because we haven't earned anything yet. But a lot of the, prognosticators, a lot of the people that are looking forward into the college football playoff, SEC title game, nobody's got Missouri really going anywhere. They all pretty much have us losing probably to Alabama or even Oklahoma, because you're seeing some that are putting Oklahoma in. So unless Missouri, that Texas A&M game is going to be the big one for me. The key to being like, okay, if they can go down there, beat Texas A&M, and we went through that on the last video here. We have a pretty good record. We've played very well against Texas A&M, but going down to Texas A&M this year, and they always have one of the better recruiting classes. Their roster is always solid. That's just a game that I worry. Like, I can totally see that's the game we drop, and then we go and we beat Alabama. But between the two games between Alabama and Oklahoma, I think we have a better shot at beating Alabama down there, which sounds absolutely crazy, than we do beating Oklahoma at home. And the only reason why I say that is you have to give the fact that Nick Saban is not there, has to account for something with Alabama. You take away a coach like that, if he's as good of a coach as everybody says that he is, and the argument is, like, is he one of the greatest all-time college football coaches? If you take that away from that team, he was the culture of that team. And I know you brought in a great coach from Washington, but you can't take away a coach of that caliber and not have some kind of a drop-off. The culture is and has to be different. So I think of the three games that I'm most worried about, Texas A&M is the number one that I'm most worried about Missouri handling their business. And they should probably go down there, I would imagine, as the favorite. But Texas A&M is a top 20 team? Top 25? Alabama, I think, is the one that I'm least worried about of the three. And that's no slight to Alabama at all. And then the Oklahoma game, I go back to PTSD of all of the Oklahoma beatdowns back in the Big 12. You forget, I've been through quite a bit as a Mizzou grad. Started back in 93, graduated 97. I've seen some of the horror shows with Oklahoma. I've seen some of the horror shows with Texas A&M. I think it was 93. What was it, like 77-0? Texas A&M beating Mizzou. That was my freshman year, and that was at Texas A&M. But I remember, I think, watching that game, and it kind of just sucks when you go to a school that has a shitty football team, and we were not good. We were not good early on when I was at Mizzou. But this year, I think it's going to be, we're going to have to kind of hold our breath. The Texas A&M game, if we can get by that, God, that Alabama game is going to be so much fun. And to think that if you can get past that Alabama game, you've got that bye week, and then you come home playing Oklahoma. Oh, what a game. What a game. So some of the other stats kind of going through here again. I mean, yeah, how much can you read into the stats that we're seeing? I mean, quite honestly, I think the one that I'm most happy to see is from Craig with the 3 field goals. You know, new kicker, that's usually not a good thing for you, for your football team. You know, 22, 27, those are kind of gimmies. 39, that's a good size one. But he got 3 of those, and that was great that we made it a priority to get him in to kick these field goals. The only other thing I know it's sexy. Let's get over here to the home stats here. To get Burden in as often as we can as a game changer. It just makes me nervous in games like this when we're having him on kick returns. We need him so bad as I spit on the monitor. We need him healthy and not taking any unnecessary kind of hits. I know you want to get the ball into his hands. When we had Macklin, that was fun too. You get nervous in games like this because all it takes is that just one knucklehead on the other side to just a late hit. And for what? You know? You tell me none of those other receivers. Who's the young kid they were talking about today? The super fast kid. Where is he? Was it Johnson that they were talking about? How fast he is. How about we work some of these other guys in? We've got, 5 returning receivers? You telling me any of those other ones we can't utilize in on special teams? And then maybe you put Burden out there for a couple special plays on some big games or something. It just makes me nervous putting him out there like that. Let's see here. So Cook 218. Pine coming in. 10 for 11. He looked good for the time he was in there. And that was important to get him some reps. So that was another good thing. But other than that, these other stats, there's not much to kind of read into it. You want to see, the first thing you want to do is make sure that nobody gets hurt. So if anybody knows how Norfleet's doing, let's see if we click him. Where is Missouri receiving? Yeah, nothing reported on here under Norfleet. I feel connected with Norfleet because he's a Francis Howell kid. That's the high school down the street from us where my kids go. My oldest boy knows Norfleet a little bit. So, and I use him all the time in NCAA 25 as I'm getting beat down by teams like Murray State because I can't play that damn game. I just lost a game on NCAA 25 yesterday to the point to where I don't even want to play it anymore. And I think I have it dumbed down so much. You know, you can take the hardness down, and I'm still getting my ass beat. I just don't have that hand-eye coordination like I used to have in college when I played this game all the time. Logged in so many hours. I can't do it now. So hopefully Norfleet's fine. Other than that, I didn't notice any other player being taken off. Penalties was another thing too. Look at that. Missouri defensive penalties 0. How crazy is that on a first game? Offense 7 for 56, not a bad thing. Just kind of looking to see some of the names on here. Reichert. I mean, Reichert a couple times. Yeah, so I mean, Drinkwitz had the team ready to play. And that was one of the focuses that he had talked about earlier on in the week was the penalties and the turnovers, really paying attention to those. From what he was watching over the weekend with the first set of games starting, just the amount of mistakes and the turnovers. And so he said they were going to hit that pretty hard this week going into this game here, making sure that everybody's doing their job, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Just cover what you're supposed to cover. Trust in your teammates. And he obviously has them mentally prepared for this game. This is good. Again, that the bigger number here is not the 51, it's the 0. The 0 for Murray State and the 0 penalties on the defense. Anything else that's of note? Not really. First quarter, that was fun for all of us to kind of watch. 28-0. Man, a lot better than, them coming out and kind of struggling. By the way, how did I saw Kansas was playing Lindenwood, which is the college right down the street from us. I think they were up 7-0 early on, and I haven't heard or seen anything on that. But that's, I mean, as much as we hate Kansas, right? It's kind of cool. Kansas is good also. Takes us back to, what year was that? Was it 07? Number 1 versus number 2. Was that 07? Mizzou and Kansas? That would be fun to get that back and going. I thought that they were supposed to be working on that. Maybe they did. I don't know, or I don't remember. I know they were trying to work on it. Anything else? Game comparison, total yards, 49-85. Again, defense did a great, outstanding job. Penalties, Mizzou 9 for 56. It's fine. What else of note? Red zone, Mizzou 7 of 7. 2 sacks. So, yeah. I mean, a good start. Let's see let's get to the schedule. Where's the damn schedule here? Oops. All right. Saturday, September 7th. It's Buffalo. And then a week after that is the BC game. And then you get Vandy and then the Texas A&M one. So that's October 5th. So, yeah, it's going to be tough kind of watching the Buffalo game. The BC game, that's one to where, okay, let's not get stupid. Before it kicks off, before the SEC schedule kicks off, let's not get stupid. But that shouldn't be one to where there should be any surprises. Same with Vandy. And then God, October 5th, that's going to be that's a game right there. That's the game right there. And everybody keeps saying, that the Missouri schedule this year is just soft. And you're like, compared to what? I think it's still a top 20 schedule. I mean, your Texas A&M can get you. Auburn can get you. Alabama, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Arkansas. Arkansas's not going to get you. I saw some of the highlights of Bobby Petrino's back. See the OC down there. I just remember Petrino and the videos of him just all fucked up in the face. Wasn't that from the riding around on the motorcycle with his girlfriend? He's like 50, 60 years old or something. He had a student girlfriend, and then like it's all forgotten. Nobody cares. I mean, some people just fall forward sometimes. The rest of us, we fall down and we fall hard. And then other people, I mean, he's coaching Arkansas again. How does that happen? There's just nobody cares down in Arkansas. So, anyways, schedule, the SEC schedule. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not the strongest SEC schedule this season. And I think maybe a lot of people just say that because we don't have Georgia. I wouldn't mind playing Georgia again. Again, if Cook wouldn't have just broken down and thrown those picks, the late 2 picks, and we were right there. We could have done it. But here's my last question I'm going to leave for you before we sign off for the night. And we'll have to do a video on this maybe next week, or maybe we'll do like a quick short on it. There are some Missouri fans that are upset at the kind of just the national, whether it's national media or, people talking about Mizzou and not really giving the full respect for the team. And I understand the frustration on Missouri fans because for so long nobody gives us any kind of respect. Even last year, the way we ended the season with the bowl win against Ohio State. Well, nobody played for Ohio State. Best players weren't playing. But we still went out and beat them. But it's kind of like one of those asterisk wins to where, Ohio State wasn't really playing hard. They weren't playing all their players. Who is Missouri's key win? Who's our biggest win in the last couple seasons? And I think that kind of answers your question. Until we have a marquee win, and I don't consider beating Tennessee a marquee win. They're a good team. They're going to be a good team this year. But to say, okay, well, we beat Tennessee last year. Because I remember, when people were trying to determine whether Missouri was worthy or not towards the end of the season. And even I was kind of looking and saying, man, What are we hanging our hat on, really? Tennessee? K-State? How many games did K-State end up losing last year? You know what I'm saying? And then by the end of the season, on the Missouri side of things, people were saying, oh, here's the marquee win. The blue blood. We took down Ohio State in a bowl game, Cotton Bowl. And as big of a fan of Missouri as I am, I'm a little sheepish about that game. I mean, what's Missouri supposed to do? You have to go play it, you win it. Our guys wanted to play it. Our guys were there, and we beat Ohio State. But is Ohio State, is that the team we're saying is our marquee win? That's what I'm asking. That's a question I'm putting out there. What's the biggest win for Missouri in the last year and a half? So until we beat Alabama, until we beat, I would say, Oklahoma would be a marquee win. Even if we were to beat Texas A&M, if Texas A&M is still top 20 when we face them here in a month or so, and if we beat them, that won't that be the best team that we will have beaten? Would we consider Texas A&M better than Tennessee last year? Better than K-State? Am I missing? I guess let's scroll up here on the schedule, because we can look and see. I mean, that Tennessee game last year was a beatdown. That was an impressive win for Missouri. I give them that. Is that our marquee win? It's a good win. You know, here we got the Missouri Ohio State 14-3. We beat Ohio State 14-3, but they weren't trying. I wouldn't consider that game a marquee win. On paper, it looks good, I guess. Boy, I'm just now looking at the Florida game again. The score 33-31. That was one I was like, oh my God, we're dropping to Florida. And then we pull that one off. That was the Cook to Luther Burden. You remember that pass? To extend the drive. The Missouri-Georgia game, 30-21. Man, again, I mean, if Cook didn't throw those two picks. South Carolina, Kentucky, we almost lost that one. The LSU game was frustrating. If we would have beat LSU, that would have been the marquee win for us. And I know you're going to say, well, LSU, didn't they lose like 4 games last year? I don't remember how many. Well, let's say how many they lost. I don't know. LSU had at least 3 losses last year. They might have lost 4. But even that, I would say, if we would have beaten LSU, that LSU would have been the best team that we had beaten in a while. Am I wrong? I could be wrong. I don't have a very good memory. But even with the 3 or the 4 losses, that would have been the best win for us. And that's the game, unfortunately, that we lost. But even, again, so the prognosticators, the national media, everybody else can still point to that game, even though that could be our best win, and say, well, that was a 3-loss, 4-loss LSU. So I think before we get any kind of national credit of anything, so there's the Missouri K-State game, the 30-27. That kick was just crazy. And you scroll back to 2 years ago, Tennessee took it to us. I forgot about that, 66-24. The funny thing, prior to coming into last season, with all the hoopla with Deion Sanders going to Colorado, I remember making this comment: why can't we go get somebody like Deion Sanders? Because I don't think I was Coach Drink. I was like, I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong on that one. I was out of pocket. That's what they say, right? When you're out of pocket. Because I was like, I would take a Deion Sanders over a Coach Drinkwitz. Why can't Mizzou do that? Colorado can do it. There's snow up there all the time, and they're recruiting people to go up there. There's no way. But credit to Coach Drinkwitz, especially last year. Obviously, it takes you a few seasons to get things going if you have the patience for a good coach. And we're seeing that. But like I'm saying, I need to have a marquee win before I can start, walking around and being a little cocky on things, talking shit to some other SEC teams. We need a big win. And so lucky for us, on the schedule, even though people say it's a weaker SEC schedule, we can do it with Texas A&M. If we beat them, they will be the best team that we have beaten in the last few years. It's always fun to beat Auburn. I don't think Missouri's ever done it. It's not going to really count for anything for us this year. That's one that we should win. But Texas A&M, Alabama, that's the one to where it's like, you do that, okay, then you got some national cred. The street cred comes with that. And the Oklahoma game. Faroe is going to be rocking. Can you imagine? You get to that game undefeated at home, and you have Oklahoma coming in, reviving the old Big 12 rivalry. Can you imagine how much tickets are going to be going for? Because at that point, Missouri's in. What I don't know is if Oklahoma is the only loss for Missouri. Does it come at the wrong time at the end of the season to where now all of a sudden we get dropped back and we're out of the playoff picture? Because nobody's doing us any favors with a one-loss Missouri team trying to squeak them in. But that Oklahoma game is going to be so fun at Faroe. November 9th, fall in Columbia. Oh, we can't look that. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. So, anyways, good win by Missouri tonight. Hopefully nobody's hurt. Norfleet's fine, and keep continuing to progress. Buffalo, right? Buffalo is next week. I say that, and I've scrolled too far back. Okay, Buffalo, yeah. So the Buffalo game, and then we start getting into some real games. No disrespect to Buffalo, but BC, that'll be a fun one. Vandy, then you're sniffing. You're sniffing the SEC. It's starting. The real thing is starting. So let's just get to that point. So, all right. Good win. We'll see you next week.